If you are hearing this, then the archive found you first. My name was Elias Thorne. I am saying was because I am not certain what I am now. I am recording this on a handheld device I found in the breast pocket of a coat hanging by the door. The coat smells of rendered fat and old salt. It does not belong to me. Like something shifting in standing water. I want you to understand something before I begin. The thing in the tannery, it does not chase. It does not run. It walks, slow and deliberate, the way a man walks when he owns every inch of a room. And it has been walking toward me for a very long time. 3 weeks ago, I drove 11 hours into the mountains to settle the estate of a man I had met only 4 times in my life. My uncle Elias Thorne. The county clerk in Crestfall told me the property had been in our family since 1887. She slid the deed across the counter without looking at me. Her fingernails, I noticed, were bitten down to raw skin. She said, "You'll want to be out before the wet season sets in." She did not explain what she meant by that. Grave-Vine Holler sits at the bottom of a ridge that doesn't appear on most maps. You find it by following a logging road until the asphalt gives way to gravel, and the gravel gives way to packed red clay, and the red clay gives way to something darker, something that felt soft under my tires in a way that soil shouldn't, yielding, like pressing your palm against a bruise. The tannery itself is a long, low building, tin roof, raw timber walls gone gray with age and moisture, standing water pooled along the foundation, reflecting nothing, just flat, black mirrors of sky. A single bulb hung above the door on a wire, and it was the only light for half a mile in any direction. Uncle Jedediah had no neighbors, no phone line, no forwarding address. What he did have, according to the county assessor's record, was a working tannery operation he had run continuously since 1974. Sole proprietor, no employees on record, no listed clients. A man alone in the mountains curing leather for 50 years. I told myself it was eccentric. Old-timers up here kept to themselves. I had no reason to be afraid. I want you to remember I told myself that. The smell hit me before I reached the door. Salt, hemlock, something rendered, animal fat and wood smoke, and beneath it all something sweeter, like overripe fruit left in a warm room. Like something in the last stage of becoming something else. I had to use a key from the estate envelope to get inside. The lock turned smooth, recently oiled. That bothered me, though I couldn't say why at the time. A dead man's lock, kept in working order. Inside, the building was one long room, earthen floor, packed hard. The ceiling was low enough that I could have raised my hand and touched the cross beams. Lanterns hung from those beams on iron hooks, old oil lanterns already burning, which meant someone had lit them recently, or they had never been allowed to go out. The racks ran the full length of the room. I want to describe them carefully because I need you to understand what I saw before I understood what I was seeing. They were wooden frames, tall, perhaps 7 feet, and narrow, strung with cord in a grid pattern, the way you'd stretch canvas for a painting. And from each one hung a hide, pale, almost translucent in the lamplight. My first thought was deer. My second thought was hog. Both thoughts lasted less than a second each. The hides were too large to be either. They were approximately the size and shape of a flattened person. The proportions were wrong in the way that things look wrong when you tilt your head and suddenly see what you've been avoiding. Wide at the shoulders, narrower at the waist, and the texture, even from across the room, even in low lamplight, the texture was not right. Not coarse, not poured in the way of livestock, fine-grained, smooth, with subtle variations in pigmentation, lighter at the inner surfaces, darker along what would have been the exterior. Old scars, rendered permanent, catching the lamplight in thin silver lines. I counted 11 of them that first night, hanging in rows, trembling faintly in the draft from the door I'd left open behind me. And then I noticed they were not trembling because of the draft. They were trembling on their own, a slow, rhythmic movement, barely perceptible, but consistent, like the surface of water disturbed by something breathing far below. I left the building. I sat in my car. I told myself there was a reasonable explanation. I sat in my car for 40 minutes. Then I went back inside, because I am the kind of man who cannot leave a reasonable explanation unfound. This is the quality of character that has brought me to where I am now, speaking into a stranger's recording device in a coat that smells of rendered fat. There was a work table along the far wall. On it, tools arranged with surgical precision, needles, curved, heavy gauge, the kind used for saddlery and sail-making, spools of waxed thread darkened with use, a tallow jar sealed with a cork, and a ledger, bound in leather naturally, dark brown, soft with handling. My hands were shaking when I opened it, and I am not ashamed to admit that. The first entry was dated April 14th, 1974. First receipt from the holler. The old contract renewed, same as before. Payment in kind. The work is clean, and the work is honest, and the work is old. Those that wander do not wander without reason, and the dryer does not take without purpose. I am only the keeper. I am only the finisher. I read it 3 times, and I turned the page. 50 years of entries, short, methodical, written in the cramped, careful hand of a man who had learned to write late in life and never taken it for granted. Most were inventory records, numbers, measurements, processing notes. But every several pages there was a different kind of entry, personal, unsettled. The Barker boy's hide took poorly to the salt, had to rebrine twice. He'd been a swimmer. The skin holds water different when they've lived near rivers. A woman this week, middle-aged. She had a surgical scar along the left side, clean and straight. I stretched around it. The dryer was patient. He left her on the lower rack until she set proper. I closed the ledger. I picked it back up. The most recent entry was dated 6 days prior. 6 days before Jedediah Thorne was found dead on the tannery floor by a postal worker who'd come to deliver a certified letter. My hands will not do the work much longer. The dryer knows. He has always known these things before I do. The archive will need a new keeper. The contract does not end with the man, only with the line. The line. The Thorne line. I first heard it around 2 in the morning. A sound like dry leaves, like a bundle of sticks dragged across a wooden floor, rhythmic, deliberate, coming from the far end of the building beyond the last rack. And beneath that, the needlework. I need you to hold this sound in your mind, because once I describe it, you will recognize it, and you will not be able to unhear it. The sound of a heavy needle pushing through cured skin. A soft resistance, a give, and then the thread pulling through, slow and wet, each stitch measured and even. A sound like patience made audible, like something that has done this 10,000 times and intends to do it 10,000 more. The lanterns at the far end of the room began to dim, not flicker, dim, steadily, as if something very large was moving through the space between the flames and the rafters, absorbing the light by degrees. Then I saw it for the first time. Tall, too tall for the room, though it moved through the room without striking the beams, because it knew the room, every inch, every low-hanging thing, the way a man knows his own body in the dark. It was draped in a cloak, not woven cloth, not animal fur, patchwork, overlapping pieces, stitched with the heavy thread I had seen on the work table. Each piece different, different tones, different textures, pale and tawny and brown and gray, all joined at their edges with careful, even seams. The work was meticulous, reverent almost, the way a quilt made by old hands is reverent. Each piece a record, a kept thing, a refusal to let something disappear entirely. Its face, if it had one, was hidden deep in the hood of the cloak. What I could see beneath the hem were its feet, and its hands where they extended from the sleeves, long, jointed wrong, too many bends in each finger, moving independently, the way antennae move, the way something moves when it is always searching. It did not look at me. It moved to the nearest rack, and it ran one long finger down the hide hanging there, slow and evaluating. And the hide leaned into the touch. The trembling stopped. Whatever it was, whatever it retained of what it had been, it recognized the touch. I did not move for a very long time. Neither did it. We stood in that room, the hide dryer and I, with the rain on the tin and the lantern light going amber and low, and I understood, with the clarity that only comes when your mind has given up the work of denial, that I had inherited something much older than a building. The ledger was my inheritance. The racks were my inheritance. The contract, renewed every generation, struck in some original dark between a Thorne ancestor and whatever the hide dryer is, and whatever it serves. That was my inheritance. And the creature in the patchwork cloak had come tonight, not to harvest me. It had come to show me the work. I am still in the building. I want you to know that. I am still in the building, and it is nearly dawn, and the rain has gone quiet, and the lanterns are burning low. The hide dryer left before the first gray light. I watched it fold itself through the door at the far end of the room, a door I had not noticed before, set low in the timber wall, leading out into the holler. The sound of dry leaves fading into the dark wood, moving downhill, moving toward wherever it goes when the work is done for the night. I went back to the ledger. I found a blank page near the end, and a pen in the breast pocket of the coat I had found by the door. I picked up the pen. My handwriting is nothing like Jedediah's. It's rounder, softer, uncertain. But the words came the same way I imagine they always come to the keeper. Not chosen exactly, more like dictated by something just behind the ear. New keeper in residence as of this date. Hands are steady. Will need to learn the needle. The archive is intact. 11 hides, all in good condition. The dryer came tonight for inspection and found the work satisfactory. I do not know if I am telling you this as a warning. I do not know if warnings are the point anymore. What I know is that the hides on the racks are still trembling, still holding their memories. The river swimmer, the woman with the surgical scar, the Barker boy, and all the others, preserved and kept and stitched into the long record of Grave-Vine Holler. And I know that if you are listening to this, you found the archive. And the archive does not let go of what it finds. You are still here. That means something. Not everyone stays until the end. Most people leave before the archive decides what to do with them. But you listened all the way through. You heard the needle. You heard the rain on the tin. The Redacted Archives keeps records of those who stay. If you would like to remain in the archive, there is something small you can do. Somewhere on this page, just below where you are now, there is a button. It says, subscribe. You do not have to press it hard, just a gentle thing, a quiet agreement between you and this channel that you would like to keep receiving these files. And if this story settled into you the way these old things tend to do, leave a comment below. Tell me what you heard. Tell me what part of the holler stayed with you. The archive reads every one. There is also a notification bell, a small thing. Ring it, and we will find you when the next file is ready. The next case is already being prepared. It comes from deeper in the mountains, a place with no good name, and it involves something that has been waiting in a particular kind of silence for a very long time. We will release it soon. Until then, keep the lights low. Keep the volume where it is. And if you hear something outside that sounds like dry leaves on a still night, Do not go to the window.